Beating the odds, this is 34-year-old Bwalya Mutale of Ndola town who is partially blind but has written his latest book. Other than his passion and zeal to write, Mutale was motivated by the deal offered to him by the Ministry of General Education that if he scripted and wrote the book titled The Broken Mirror Difficult to Mend, aimed at addressing the causes and effects of early marriages, to be distributed in schools across the country. Of course, all this effort would come at a price. Mr. Mutale, who's eager to work hard and earn a livelihood, hoped this particular writing would make a difference. But far from his expectations, he says the Ministry of General Education did not fulfill their end of the bargain.
As a writer, my latest publication entitled Broken Mirror, Difficult to Mend, whose theme was on the prevention of early girl-child marriages, and this book was recommended for use in schools for the teaching of literature and life skills in schools by the Curriculum Development Center that evaluates and recommends books for use in schools. His Excellency the President Mr. Edgar Chagwadongo sponsored the printing and launching of this book. State House had requested the Ministry of General Education to draw the roadmap for this book, and a copy of the action plan the Ministry would take be copied to State House. The Ministry Permanent Secretary Tekenko informed the Secretary to Cabinet that the Ministry would ensure the book reaches the schools and all provincial education officers, district education board secretaries, and language teachers who would attend the launch.
Mr. Mutale explains that initially, the ministry was supposed to buy the books from him and incorporate the writings in the school curriculum. He explains that he has made countless trips from Ndola to Lusaka town in an effort to engage the said ministry, but to no avail. Mr. Mutale feels the Ministry of Education is deliberately evading inclusion of participation of persons living with disabilities.
Ministry never attended and had to postpone the launch to another date. I physically approached the Permanent Secretary, Tekenko, who advised me to set another date, again in official from the Minister of General Education. The Minister of General Education then later on informed me that the Ministry plans to procure the books. A letter that was signed by the Permanent Secretary for Administration on 2nd December 2020. In all this time, I've been coming from Ndola to Lusaka, in which I've made more trips, leaving me with no money, not even for my eye ointment. I rely on eye ointment that I rely on. I'm a disabled person and rely on eye ointment for the stability of my disabled eye and clear sight. Because of these endless trips I've completely run out of money, and I'm now unable to buy medicine, and my right eye is now completely swelled and damaged, and I'm afraid the other eye may be affected.
He explains that despite his physical challenge, he still can contribute towards national development. He has, however, accused the cited Ministry of Education of having frustrated his efforts by ensuring that his works are not recognized.
Discrimination, stigma, mental and physical torture to persons living with disabilities is what has brought me here. And this is what I've experienced by the Ministry of General Education, where my rights have been abused simply because of my physical status. I've been frustrated to the extent that the situation has contributed to the complete deterioration of my sight, from its usual stability to complete damage and blind. The threats of stigma, physical, mental, and the abuse from the Ministry of General Education, which the Ministry has demonstrated on me just because of my disability, has left me in serious physical pain.
Meanwhile, an effort to engage the said ministry on the matter at hand has proved futile, as this reporter was not given an audience. Mr. Mutale is an award-winning writer who is also a member of the Zambia Agency of People with Disabilities. He is since calling on the inclusion of persons who are differently abled in participation towards national development. Reporting for Movie TV News, Bwalya Mutale.